Welcome to the deep dive. We're plunging into some really profound global shifts today, the kind that are reshaping our world, sometimes quietly, sometimes not so quietly.
Yeah, right under our noses, really.
Exactly. We want to venture beyond the usual headlines, explore the real rebalancing of global power, economic alliances that are shifting.
We're talking BRICS, obviously, but also these big trade agreements, trade disputes. It's all interconnected.
It really is.
Hmm.
Well, look at how blocks like BRICS are evolving, the complex dance of international trade deals, think India and the EU, and,
Yeah.
well, the impacts of trade disputes, which can sometimes be surprisingly overlooked.
And the scale of these shifts, you really can't overstate it. The institutions we've kind of relied on since World War II, they're facing serious challenges now.
Hmm.
It's not just tweaking things around the edges. We're seeing genuinely new models emerge for how countries interact, how economies work, where influence actually lies.
So this deep dive is about getting behind the what to the why and the how.
Exactly. Giving you some clarity in all this complexity.
So our mission today, explore global governance and trade, where they are now, where they might be heading. We'll use three main lenses. BRICS' evolution, which is fascinating.
Definitely.
India's very strategic moves on trade agreements, and the real-world fallout from tariffs, sometimes funny, sometimes quite serious.
And we've got some great source material to guide us.
We do. We're drawing from Barrack Face, BRICS headquarters, also Barrack Face, Beyond BRICS, a new vision for a multipolar world order. Then there's Barrack Face, EU-India Free Trade Agreement, comparing it with the UK deal. Plus, Barrack Face, tariffs and tweets. That one's about India's response to Trump's trade war.
Ah, yes, the meme festival one.
That's the one. And finally, Democracy for Nepal, the forgotten casualties of the trade war, focusing on Africa and South Asia.
So a really diverse set of perspectives. Our goal is to pull out the critical info, maybe highlight some surprising facts, and help you, our listener, make sense of what these huge global movements actually mean for the future.
Right. We want those aha moments for you without feeling buried in jargon.
Let's get into it.
Okay, let's delve into this. A starting point. The sources are unanimous on this. The global balance of power is shifting. Undeniably.
It's not subtle anymore.
No. And these old institutions, the ones set up after World War II, the UN, IMF, World Bank, the sources explicitly say they just don't represent the world of the 21st century anymore. Demographics, interests, it's all changed.
Which is a pretty bold claim, but when you dig into why they're seen as outdated, it makes sense.
Right.
The sources hammer this point. Disproportionate voting power given to a few countries. Often these are, well, relics of a bygone era.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. The world in 1945 versus now, completely different economic weights, huge population shifts, especially towards the global south. But the power structures, like the UN Security Council veto or IMF voting quotas, they haven't really kept pace.
They seem quite rigid.
Exactly. And that rigidity is what's driving this idea of a multipolar world. Power isn't just in one or two spots anymore. It's spreading out among multiple centers.
Which makes things less predictable.
Yeah. Definitely more complex, more dynamic. Old alliances are being questioned. Hierarchies are being renegotiated constantly.
So this isn't just abstract talk for think tanks. Why should you, listening now, care about this?
Because these shifts hit home. They directly impact international stability, peace, and conflict. They shape economic opportunities, the jobs available, investment flows.
And the rules themselves, right. How countries trade, cooperate on climate change, pandemics.
Precisely. It determines whose voice gets heard, whose interests get prioritized. It fundamentally shapes the world you live in, down to your security and economic well-being.
Okay, let's zoom in on BRICS then. It started famously just as an acronym, didn't it? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa.
Yeah, coined by an investment banker, Jim O'Neill. It was purely about economics, identifying these fast-growing markets for investors. It wasn't designed as an institution at all, just a handy label.
But it didn't stay that way.
Not even close. It evolved, as the sources say, into something much bigger. A geopolitical movement seeking a more equitable world order.
And it's growing rapidly.
Hugely. New members like Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, UAE, Indonesia have joined recently. And the sources mention dozens of countries expressing interest.
Wow, dozens.
Yeah. This isn't just about adding flags. It signals, according to the material, a renewed global south movement. It draws inspiration from things like the old non-aligned movement during the Cold War.
Seeking an alternative path.
Exactly. Its sheer growth and the interest it's attracting show its perceived value as a platform for developing nations to gain more influence. It's shifting from an economic club to a real geopolitical force.
Now, here's where I think it gets really interesting. India's specific view within BRICS.
Mm-hmm.
The sources highlight India sees BRICS as a vehicle for multipolarity, yes, but also specifically for leadership from the global south.
Right. For India, it seems it's more than just trade deals. It's about creating this alternate diplomatic platform.
A place where emerging economies can have agency, right, without being, quote, subsumed under Western-led frameworks.
Precisely. That shows the ambition goes way beyond just economics. It's about fundamentally rebalancing global influence, letting countries like India shape the rules, not just follow them.
So, with that kind of ambition, the question of a physical headquarters becomes pretty significant. Where do you plant your flag? Literally.
And the sources dive deep into this, listing 5 main contenders, each with its own set of pros and cons, each saying something different about what BRICS wants to be.
Let's walk through them. First up, Dubai, UAE.
Okay, Dubai. The strengths listed are pretty clear. World-class infrastructure and connectivity. We're talking top-tier airports, ports, tech infrastructure.
Already a major hub.
Exactly, and it's seen as politically neutral, a crucial factor, and already a massive hub for East-West trade. It's positioned as a symbolic bridge between Asia, Africa, and Europe.
Plus, it's known for being business-friendly.
Right, a pro-business regulatory environment. All these things together make it a really unique contender, practical, symbolic, efficient.
Okay, contender number 2, Shanghai, China.
Shanghai's case rests heavily on China's economic weight within BRICS. It's a major BRICS member's financial capital, a recognized global hub for trade, finance, and technology.
So, putting the HQ there would send a strong economic signal.
Definitely. It would demonstrate BRICS' weight in the global economy. Plus, China has the strong institutional capacity to host big international organizations. It's a statement of economic power.
Moving continents now. Johannesburg, South Africa. What's its significance?
Johannesburg is hugely symbolic. It represents the African continent's economic powerhouse. Choosing it would really strengthen BRICS' global South identity.
A very clear message about inclusivity.
Absolutely. It underscores commitment to the developing world, ensures Africa's voice is central. It also has strong ties to mining, commodities, and global trade flows, and importantly, signals inclusivity beyond Asia-heavy influence.
Got it. Across the Atlantic then, São Paulo, Brazil.
São Paulo brings South America into the picture. It's the continent's largest economy and financial hub. Selecting it would ensure the HQ isn't Asia-centric.
Crucial for balance.
Yes, it geographically balances representation. It's a symbolic commitment to multipolarity, making sure the South American perspective is integral, preventing the bloc seeming dominated by one region.
And finally, New Delhi, India. What are its strategic plus points?
New Delhi offers a compelling mix. It's strategically located between East and West, a natural crossroads. It's a large, fast-growing democracy within BRICS, bringing huge demographic and economic weight.
In diplomatic experience.
Right. India has a strong diplomatic network and experience in multilateral forums. Hosting the HQ there would also strongly reinforce BRICS' commitment to inclusive development, aligning with India's own global narrative.
It's really striking how each city offers such a different potential identity for BRICS. Dubai, the neutral bridge, Shanghai, the economic powerhouse, Johannesburg, the voice of Africa, São Paulo, the continental balancer, New Delhi, the democratic anchor.
Exactly. It's not just picking an office building, it's a strategic branding exercise.
So how do you actually choose between these strong options?
Yeah.
The sources provide some criteria, right?
Yes, they lay out specific benchmarks for evaluation. Because, as you said, the location choice itself is a message. 3 main criteria emerge.
Okay. Right.
First, geopolitical neutrality. Basically, how acceptable the location is to all BRICS members and potential new members. This is key for unity, preventing dominance by one member.
Makes sense. Second.
Economic strength. This covers the practical stuff. Infrastructure, global financial connectivity, ability to host major institutions. Does the city have the operational capacity?
And the third criterion.
Symbolic value. This is about the narrative. How well the city embodies BRICS' multipolar global South identity. What message does this location send to the world about BRICS' values and goals?
Okay, neutrality, economic muscle, symbolic meaning. How did the cities stack up based on these?
The sources give a ranking with scores. Dubai comes out on top, #1, with 27 points, gets a 9 out of 10 on all three. Neutrality, economic, and symbolic.
That clean sweep.
Pretty much. The source says it checks all boxes. Neutral, ultra-connected, symbolically between continents. Positions it as almost ideal operationally and symbolically.
Who's number 2?
Johannesburg is #2 with 25 points, scores 8 for neutrality, 7 for economic strength, but a perfect 10 for symbolic value.
High on symbolism, then.
Very. The source points to its powerful African symbolism, which would really reinforce BRICS' global South leadership.
And then we had a tie for third place.
Yes. New Delhi and Shanghai both score 24 points, tying for third.
How do they break down?
New Delhi, #3, gets 7 for neutrality, 8 economic, 9 symbolic, noted as politically important and geographically central. Shanghai, #4, gets 6 for neutrality, that's its lowest score, but a perfect 10 for economic strength, and 8 symbolic.
So Shanghai's economic power is clear, but neutrality is a potential issue.
That's what the source suggests. It has the strongest economic muscle, but is seen as less neutral due to China's global strategic rivalries, which might worry some members or potential joiners.
And rounding out the list.
Sao Paulo is #5 with 23 points. Scores 8 for neutrality, 8 economic, 7 symbolic. Good for balancing continents, but its geographic distance from Asia, Africa, Europe trade routes slightly reduces practicality, according to the source.
What's really telling here are the nuances, the trade-offs. The source spells it out. If BRICS wants a symbolic, neutral bridge, Dubai wins.
Right.
If it wants maximum political weight, maybe Shanghai or New Delhi. If maximum operational efficiency is key, Dubai or Shanghai again.
But for maximum symbolic impact, boosting that global South identity, Johannesburg or New Delhi.
It shows there isn't one perfect answer. It depends entirely on what BRICS prioritizes. Is it about practical function, political projection, or symbolic representation? It reveals potential internal debates about the bloc's core mission.
That divergence could be a challenge or maybe a strength, allowing flexibility.
Well, building on that complexity,
Yeah.
the sources propose something even more innovative than picking just one city. This idea of a multi-city, function-based HQ.
Yes. Instead of one big headquarters, the idea is 3 core hubs plus rotating summit hosts. It seems tailor-made to balance all those competing priorities and geographic spread.
A decentralized model.
Yeah.
So what are the proposed hubs?
First is Dubai, earmarked as the executive and administrative HQ. This would be the permanent seat of the BRICS Secretariat, handling the day-to-day operations, coordination, staffing.
Why Dubai for admin?
The reasons are compelling. Politically neutral and easily accessible for everyone. It has that state-of-the-art infrastructure, transport, communications, tech, and symbolically it acts as that bridge between East, West, and the global South. Perfect for efficient, unbiased management.
Okay, hub number 1, admin in Dubai. What's hub number 2?
That would be Shanghai, functioning as the economic and trade hub. This is where the big money stuff happens. Hosting the BRICS Development Bank, their alternative to the World Bank, plus trade negotiation offices, data centers, innovation hubs.
Makes sense, given China's economic role.
Exactly. China is the largest BRICS economy and a major trade driver. Shanghai has proven global financial integration and advanced digital systems, plus the capacity to handle large financial agencies. It's the logical center for BRICS' economic ambitions.
And the third piece of this structure.
That's Johannesburg, designated as the Global South Diplomatic Hub. Its role, to host the BRICS Global South Forum, think political coordination, overseeing development programs, and crucial Africa outreach.
So ensuring the African perspective is central.
Precisely. It ensures Africa's voice is central, reinforcing inclusivity.
Yeah.
It acts as a symbolic anchor in the Southern Hemisphere and an access point for cooperation with the African Union and other developing nations, really shores up that global South identity.
Beyond these 3 specialized hubs, there's the idea of the rotating annual summit.
Right. The big leaders meeting wouldn't be fixed in one place, but would rotate among members like New Delhi, Sao Paulo, Moscow, etc.
What are the advantages of that? Seems logical, but what are the stated benefits?
Several key benefits. 1, it spreads diplomatic prestige evenly. No single country gets to monopolize hosting duties. 2, it strengthens national ownership and domestic visibility. Each host gets to showcase its leadership and engage its own public.
Brings it home for people.
Exactly. It brings the BRICS brand closer to local populations, making the organization feel less remote, fostering a connection that big centralized bodies often lack. Enhances legitimacy.
It sounds like a very carefully thought out structure. What are the overall plus points of this multi-city model?
The source summarizes 4 main advantages. First, geopolitical balance. Avoids any single member dominating by having everything in their capital. Second, operational efficiency. Lets each city specialize in what it does best, leveraging unique strengths. Third, symbolic inclusivity. Africa, Asia, the Middle East are all represented, reflecting the bloc's diversity. And fourth, scalability.
Meaning it can grow.
Yes, potential for new hubs to be added if BRICS expands further. Maybe Sao Paulo becomes a dedicated Latin American hub down the line. It's flexible.
It really makes you think. How different is this decentralized approach from, say, the UN in New York or the One Bank in D.C.? It feels like more than just a practical fix.
It does seem like a deliberate statement, doesn't it? A move away from the single, powerful capital model towards something more networked, more collaborative, perhaps reflecting the multipolar reality it aims to navigate.
Taking this even further, the sources sketch out a vision for something called Beyond BRICS. The argument is, to truly lead and challenge the status quo, BRICS needs to evolve, to transcend its original identity, effectively be reborn.
Yeah, it's framed as a necessary transformation. The source is blunt. BRICS was never meant to be an institution, just that investment banker's acronym. Now, with its growth and ambition, that narrow label is no longer sufficient.
So it needs a new name, one that signals more.
Exactly, a name that signals openness, inclusion, and purpose, moving from just a group of countries to a proper global entity with clear values.
And they actually proposed some names.
They did. Ideas like GMO, Global Equitable Multipolar Organization, Peace Partnership for Economic Autonomy, Cooperation, and Equity, WEEO, World Equity Organization, and GNP Plus, Global Nations Partnership Plus.
Catchy acronyms aside, what's the deeper point here?
It's not just marketing. The source stresses it's about signaling values like justice, representation, and the rewriting of the post-colonial global contract.
Wow, that's a strong statement.
It is. It's deeply symbolic. Positioning this potential organization not just as an economic alternative, but as a force for global equity, for reshaping a system seen as historically biased. It's ideological. And connecting back to the headquarters debate, the source emphatically argues for Dubai again as the ideal headquarters for this next-generation global organization. The line is striking. If location signals intent, then Dubai is the ideal headquarters.
It's more than just logistics then. It's about the message the city sends.
Absolutely. The reasons are reinforced. Its geographical neutrality at that crossroads location, its modern infrastructure ensuring efficiency, its powerful symbolism as a place showing what's possible when vision meets investment, reflecting foresight.
And its diplomatic connections.
Right. Its diplomatic accessibility, the UAE's generally good relations across divides, making it a practical meeting ground. It embodies that future they envision, neutral, innovative, connected.
The source even suggests the world government of tomorrow, if it were to be born anywhere, can be born in Dubai. That's quite a statement.
It really is. It suggests the future of global governance might emerge not from old Western capitals, but from somewhere new, central, advanced.
But here's where it gets really radical, I think, in terms of governance principles. This proposed bold voting formula.
Yes, this is aimed squarely at correcting what the source calls one of the biggest failures of current bodies like the UN Security Council, that disproportionate voting power held by a few, often reflecting the post-WWII world, not today's reality.
So what's the proposed fix? The 40-40-20 formula?
Exactly, the 40-40-20 voting structure. It's designed very deliberately. 40% of the vote weight is based on GDP contribution. This ensures economic contributors have a proportionate voice based on their investment in the system.
Okay, economic power gets a say. What's the next 40%?
40% weight based on population share. This is huge. It aims to correct decades of underrepresentation of populous nations, especially in the global south. Countries like India, China representing billions, would see their demographic weight properly reflected, gives their people a stronger voice.
And the final 20%.
That's 20% weight allocated as one country, one vote. This preserves the dignity and legal parity of each nation, no matter how small. Even the smallest island nation gets an equal say on core sovereignty issues.
It's a fascinating balancing act, trying to weigh economic clout, sheer numbers of people, and the principle of sovereign equality all at once.
The goal is explicitly to ensure no one actor dominates. It forces coalition-building, diplomacy, and compromise, rather than decisions by fiat from a powerful few. It's built for today's world, not the post-WWII status quo.
It feels revolutionary, tackling those historical power imbalances head-on.
And another key part of this Beyond BRICS vision, open membership.
unlike, say, the G7.
Exactly. Not an exclusive club. The idea is it should be open to all interested countries, provided they commit to the organization's founding principles.
And what are those principles?
They're laid out clearly. Economic cooperation based on mutual benefit, moving away from exploitation, non-intervention, and respect for sovereignty. A big one for many nations.
Also, peace and climate justice.
Yes, a commitment to global peace and climate justice,
Right.
tackling modern challenges, and crucially, building an inclusive international financial system, addressing those long-standing grievances against the current Bretton Woods system.
So the goal isn't necessarily to replace existing institutions, but to offer a more democratic alternative.
The source says it aims to be a democratized counterweight to exclusive Western-dominated institutions. But importantly, it doesn't aim to divide the world, but to rebalance it.
Rebalance, not divide. That's a key distinction.
Yes, it's about fostering a more inclusive global platform where the Global South has a stronger, more equitable voice, ensuring decisions reflect a broader world majority. Systemic change, not just shifting power chairs.
It really poses a fundamental question. Could a system like this, genuinely inclusive and rebalanced, actually foster more cooperation over competition? Could it bridge some of these deep global divides? It's a transformative idea.
If it could be realized, yes.
Okay, let's ground this a bit. Let's shift from these big institutional visions to the nitty-gritty of actual trade deals happening now. India is right in the thick of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Particularly with the European Union.
Absolutely. India is playing a critical role. And these EU-India Free Trade Agreement negotiations are very active. The talks resumed in June 2022 after a long pause.
Shows renewed commitment on both sides.
Definitely. The source mentions the 11th round was just held in New Delhi in May 2025, and they actually closed several chapters, including on transparency. Both sides say they're aiming to finalize the whole thing by the end of 2025.
That's ambitious, and the economic stakes are huge, right?
Massive. The EU sees this as potentially transformative for bilateral trade. The numbers are staggering in 2023. Trade hit $124 billion in goods and $59.7 billion in services. An FTA would build hugely on that.
So it's not just tinkering, it's about unlocking major new potential.
Exactly. And the scope is broad, too. It's actually broader than a typical trade agreement.
How so?
Well, besides the main FTA covering goods and services, they're negotiating separate pacts on investment protection to secure investments and geographical indications, protecting products like Darjeeling tea or specific European cheeses.
Ah, the GIs. Always important.
Always. The main FTA aims to remove export barriers, open up services and public procurement markets, safeguard intellectual property, IP, and, importantly for the EU, commit to sustainable development practices.
But it's not all straightforward, is it? There are sticking points.
Definitely not. The sources mention recent tensions over EU sanctions on Russia, which complicates things for India given its relationship with Russia, especially regarding oil imports.
A diplomatic balancing act for India.
For sure. And then there are big concerns regarding IP rules, particularly how they might affect global health access, especially pharmaceuticals.
India's generic drug industry is vital globally.
Exactly. There's a fear that stronger IP protection demanded by the EU could restrict the production of affordable generics. So yes, complex issues beneath the surface. Trade is never just about trade.
Now, there's another deal that provides context here. The UK-India FTA, that one's actually done, right?
Yeah.
Signed recently.
Yes, finalized in May 2025, signed July 24, 2025, just awaiting ratification now. And it's expected to have a big impact, too. Projections suggest it could increase bilateral trade by $34 billion annually from 2040.
What are the key parts of that deal?
It includes significant tariff eliminations on 90% of UK export lines to India over the next decade. Also enhanced access for UK firms in India's telecom and finance sectors.
And IP again.
Yes, strengthened IP protections feature,
Yeah.
as does easier temporary business mobility for professionals. It's a comprehensive package.
And strategically, analysts see this UK deal acting as a kind of baseline, a floor, for the EU talks.
That's the thinking. Key elements like the level of tariff cuts or the IP enhancements agreed with the UK are likely to be similar, or perhaps even the starting point, for negotiations with the larger EU bloc. India might be using it as leverage.
Smart. So how do these two deals, EU-India and UK-India, compare directly? What are the main similarities and differences?
Well, the sources provide a comparison. Similarities first. Both are comprehensive, modern pacts. Both aim to cut tariffs, boost market access, increase investment. Both cover goods, services, and IP extensively.
Okay, standard modern FTA stuff. What about the differences?
Several key ones.
Yeah.
Scope. The EU-India deal involves the main FTA plus those separate agreements on investment protection and GIs, and it has that strong emphasis on sustainability. The UK-India deal is a single consolidated agreement.
Market size must be a factor, too.
Huge factor. Market size impact. The EU is India's largest trading partner, so its larger market size, combined with its emphasis on sustainability, may make the EU deal more ambitious and impactful overall.
And regulatory priorities differ.
Yes. Regulatory priorities. The EU version is likely to incorporate stronger environmental and labor standards, reflecting its own internal priorities, which can be tougher negotiating points. The UK deal, being bilateral, might be slightly less stringent there.
And the negotiation process itself.
Negotiation process. The UK deal was naturally faster as a bilateral negotiation between two countries. The EU involves coordinating 27 member states, which inherently makes it more complex and time-consuming.
So putting it all together, India is really engaged in this intricate dance, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's actively shaping its global economic ties, juggling these major agreements, balancing different partners' demands with its own development needs. It's a high-stakes strategic game on the world stage.
Okay, let's pivot now. From the careful choreography of trade deals to the sledgehammer approach of trade wars. Specifically, let's look at the terrorists and tweets source.
Yes. This focuses on President Trump's actions back in August 2025. He initially slapped a 25% tariff on Indian imports.
Which is already significant.
Very. But then he threatened to double it to a spicy 50% unless India stopped buying Russian oil by a specific deadline, August 27th. His reasoning: cutting off funding for Russia's war.
And the immediate economic reaction.
Concerns. Moody's warned about manufacturing slowdowns in India, arms deals were reportedly paused, and Trump himself rather casually declared India's economy dead.
Which, as we know, prompted quite a reaction in India.
Oh, absolutely. This is where it gets fascinating. Instead of just official diplomatic statements, India's internet, as the source puts it, went full Bollywood remake with memes.
Turning the tariff threat into primetime entertainment.
Exactly. It highlights this unique cultural response where sarcasm is a national sport, humor as a form of resistance and commentary.
The source gives some brilliant examples, right? Let's share a few.
Definitely. First, there was the dead economy roast. Palki Sharma on First Post Vantage apparently did this brilliant stand-up style bit comparing India's supposedly dead economy to Trump's poll numbers being reincarnated as a ghost.
Ouch.
Yeah. The clip went viral as the joke of the day. Thousands of shares, comments like, tariff, 25%, burn from India, 100%. It just reframed the whole narrative.
That burn percentage says it all. What else?
Then there was the Bal Narendra's bromance breakup meme. At the Nehru created this cartoon of a young Modi figure, Bal Narendra, apparently wailing after his close friend Dalun slapped the tariff.
From howdy Modi to docked.
To no mast, according to the meme, perfectly captured that perceived shift in the relationship using humor.
So clever. And the Baitzadi one, that means humiliation, right?
Exactly. But Zadi, the world tour at Mumbai Chadan, apparently put together this greatest hits humiliation reel of Trump's past diplomatic awkwardness ignoring Putin, India's markets soaring despite tariffs, China forcing him to cut tariffs earlier.
And it ended with that classic line.
Yes. Bhaskar pagle, kitni bitsati karga kutki. Essentially, stop it, fool. How much more will you humiliate yourself? Using past instances to undermine the current threat through sheer ridicule.
It's incredible. Humor as a geopolitical tool.
The source perfectly captures it. The real trade deficit. Humor. Tariffs might hurt exports, but they can't touch the national pastime of roasting global leaders. It's a remarkable display of cultural resilience.
But while India found humor, there's a much darker side to these trade wars, isn't there? That's where the forgotten casualty source comes in.
Yes, a very important contrast. While India could absorb the shock and respond with satire, the impact on poorer, less resilient economies is often devastating.
How so? What does the source say?
It argues that this recent wave of U.S. tariffs is hitting poorer nations the hardest. It's effectively reversing long-standing preferential trade treatments designed to help them develop.
So the impact is uneven.
Highly uneven. The data shows wealthier countries might face 10–15% tariffs, but developing nations like Vietnam, Bangladesh, South Africa, and especially the poorest like Myanmar and Laos, are seeing duties hit 20–40%.
And India's 50% threat fits this pattern.
It does link specifically to the Russian oil issue. But the broader point is This asymmetric application leaves the global south feeling exposed with little leverage.
It feels deeply unfair.
The source argues it is, and it highlights why poor countries are desperately in need of leadership and systemic reform. One major issue is shrinking policy space.
Meaning?
Things like the Generalized System of Preferences, GSP, which used to give developing countries lower duties in markets like the U.S., are being dismantled. This offered a vital pathway for export-led development. Without it, they lose a crucial tool.
And there are deeper structural problems, too.
Yes, structural disadvantages in global trade. Institutions like the WTO get criticized for systemic bias towards the global north. Things like MFN rules, strict IP regimes, anti-dumping rules, they often end up penalizing countries with less capacity and negotiating power.
Leading to what the source calls unequal exchange.
Precisely. Where labor and resources flow from the global south to the north under unfair terms of trade, raw materials go out cheap, expensive manufactured goods come in, it perpetuates the wealth gap.
So the source emphasizes this isn't about defending regimes, it's about real people.
Exactly. It's about the farmer in Bihar who wants to sell mangoes abroad. It's about the garment worker in Dhaka whose factory order just got canceled because of a trade spat between giants.
These people, the source argues, deserve preferential treatment, not as charity, but as justice, a call for systemic fairness.
And all this chips away at trust, doesn't it?
Critically, this leads to eroding trust in existing institutions. The World Bank, IMF, WTO, they can often appear distant or indifferent to the plight of the poorest hit by these issues.
And without reform or viable alternatives, they risk losing legitimacy among developing nations. This fuels frustration and could lead to fragmentation.
Which raises that serious question. What happens long-term when the most vulnerable lose faith in the global system? It could undermine stability for everyone.
Which brings us back, full circle, to BRICS potentially offering an alternative.
Right. Its expansion, bringing in Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, UAE, Indonesia, gives it more collective clout to address these very issues on behalf of the global south.
It represents a much larger share of the world now.
And it's developing actual tools, not just talking points. Things like the New Development Bank.
Yes, aiming to offer project finance without the traditional strings attached. And BRICS Pay, that proposed payment system to bypass Western financial infrastructure like SWIFT.
Could these offer real alternatives for struggling economies?
Potentially, yes. Greater financial autonomy. The source argues BRICS is now uniquely positioned, if willing, to lead the development of a fairer, multipolar trade order.
That if willing is crucial, though.
Very. It requires genuine commitment from members to build a transformative trade architecture grounded in equity, resilience, and collective agency, moving beyond narrow self-interest to a shared vision.
So the stakes are incredibly high. It's about potentially shifting the whole paradigm of global trade, making it more inclusive, more dynamic.
The source argues it's not just desirable, it's essential for balance and stability. For too long, the Global South lacked coherent leadership and institutional alternatives. This moment is seen as a critical opportunity.
We've covered a huge amount today. From the grand visions for a restructured BRICS, maybe headquartered across multiple cities,
to India's complex trade negotiations and its unique response to trade pressures.
and finally to the often overlooked, harsh realities faced by the most vulnerable nations in these global economic shifts.
The underlying tension is stark, isn't it? The old order is clearly fading, but the new one is still under construction, uncertain.
The question isn't if things will change, but how they'll change, and crucially, who benefits, especially those historically left behind.
Which leads to that powerful quote from the source. The world doesn't need a new Cold War. It needs a new global compact.
Could something like this, beyond BRICS vision, maybe based in a neutral hub like Dubai, actually deliver that, a truly equitable, inclusive global system? Or are the old power structures just too strong, too entrenched?
That's the multi-trillion-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is. Something for you, our listener, to reflect on. How do your own choices, what you buy, where you invest, connect to these huge global currents? And how can you seek out diverse perspectives to really understand these complex dynamics?
We hope this deep dive has offered some clarity, some food for thought on the shifting sands beneath all our feet.